and the area, it's time for some positive talk. When my husband was head of the state for Rural Orange Masons, we traveled 38,000 miles that year in Ohio. You can do it. I was in East Palestine even. So in most places where you have upscale housing, it eventually rolls down to the older housing. Cleves is a very, very old town. It was founded in 1818, so your housing is older down here. So you have, sometimes you have landlords come in and they go, when the old people die that were keeping their yards up, then new people come in and they start rental properties. When I was on council, we passed very good rental laws. They were stellar, but they're not enforced. So you need to get some mechanism back to enforce your laws.
So,
That's the total problem. We have in this town, really what the golden goose would lay a golden egg. From this area, we have 2 presidents, 4 generals. This all happened in the 1800s. We have a man that was told he was elected President of the United States that was in a tavern where the bank is. Not many places in Ohio would have that kind of history that they could play upon. Last year at Harrison's Tomb, they come in, there's a lot of people that are traveling all over the country, and they come. And we used to keep our museum open on Saturday and Sunday, and nobody came. We are all volunteers on the Harrison Sims Memorial Foundation. We stumbled up here, some of us, in 1991 or 2, and we found Harrison's Tomb in a bad state of disrepair. I have to tell you right now, Harrison Sims Memorial Foundation, the tomb is state property. So I really tell you, I learned to lobby. That's the best thing you can do. And if you can get school kids to help you lobby, bless them, because they do fill out forms for you. So since our foundation, we received our 501(c) in 1993. We have gotten $700,000 in repairs at William Henry Harrison's Tomb. We're meeting with the people that got the bids on the 29th of this month, and they're going to do another $200,000 if they get away, which is $200,000. So we're constantly on the move for getting the Harrison's names out, and also to get Cleves' history recognized. Liz is one of the people. We go to tours now, and since then, sometimes in 2 days, we've had 4 tours. So the lady said, we're gonna be on Plan a Trip. So that did one of our tours. I know probably nobody in the room has taken one of our tours or has even been in the museum. It's right over there. So we did dedicate the last 2 rooms after the township moved out to the Harrisons, because that is what people are coming here for. We have 45 states, 16 countries come last year.
Now, when you
Coming
say tour,
downtown Cleveland.
when you say tour, you mean they go to the tomb and they come to the museum? Is that
Liz
your
meets them
tours?
there, or I meet them there, and we
Okay.
make
So
appointments.
they're visiting the
through our
tomb
web-
and they're visiting the museum?
Yes, we
Yes.
started the tomb, we usually start at the tomb, and then they come here to the museum.
Okay.
And this is an important, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
this is really an important building. People don't realize, this is a gem. You're sitting in a building that was built by the Grand Army of the Republic. Those are veterans of the Civil War. They came home and they built this. They're like the first VFW. And it's a gem. And I think this needs to be repaired. This is my baby. So I would like to see it restored, actually. So I mean, I start with that when I bring them in, and we go from there. People are really interested. I'm amazed. Just this past week, I had a man come in from Detroit. However, he was actually from Colorado, but he's now living in Detroit. And he just came in to see the president, this president. It's amazing.
The farthest that I ever did a tour for was 3 people, and they were from Moscow, Russia. They had an interpreter. I don't know how. He said he was writing a book on American presidents and democracy. I don't know. He was going to send me a book, but then Putin got acting up, and I was afraid to email him. I even had his email address. So this has been kind of a slow project from getting the tomb back in order. To say it was in disrepair is an understatement. So getting it back in order. We are all volunteer. We're a 9-member board, and like I said, we got our 501(c) in 1993. We started the museum in 1997, and the township gives us that area and upstairs free. That's not to say we don't need volunteers, because we really do when somebody has to help us move a case or whatever. But we have assets in this village. The tomb's in North Bend, have the museum here, we have the Grand Army of the Republic. We got a canal tunnel that's on the National Historic Register. It needs restored. Then at the other end of Cleves, there is the only Revolutionary Civil War, or Revolutionary War POW camp in the state of Ohio. They were captured at Lothar Creek in Indiana and brought there as prisoners of war. So the townships bought that property now, and so I'm looking forward to them helping and doing what they can to make that story told down there about the prisoners of war that were captured during the revolution.
I think Dan has talked about in the Miami Township meetings about doing some type of interpretive center or something along those lines to support that vision. But I have a question I want to ask directly of you. Village of Cleves, Council of Cleves, what if you could restore this village the way it ought to be, functioning as it should, being able to enforce its laws, its zoning, cleaning up things that need to be cleaned up? What do you think the benefit would be as far as economic development? What do you think marketing what you're talking about could do for this village?
We already got the data that people are coming here. Between Cincinnati and Lawrenceburg, there is no housing, temporary housing, like maybe a motel. Motels have bed taxes, which brings revenue into your village. And there's a place on Walmsley that would make a good thing. They said, well, it's not along Route 50. Route 50 is a limited access highway because they never bought the people's property. They only bought the buildings on it. So, but as I traveled in Ohio, I noticed that a lot of motels were up a road and around a hill. I mean, they're not all directly on 74 or 275 or even 70. So you have to get off the road, go back to your little thing. So we have the canal tunnel not fixed. The museum is doing really good because we're already bringing the tourists here. We don't have to go out and put up a sign anymore. They're coming daily to our area for our tours. And so they eat at restaurants. It's something that you cannot take away from your village. It's not something that'll move to China. It's something that you can figure out if you join the Greater Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce. And their hotel item part about that. So that you can make this really a tourist place because they're already coming. That's what I have to say.
Why don't you tell them about your connection with the Ohio history?
Oh, as of 2000, when I first started doing it, I had to convince Ohio History Connection and state and senator, I think he is now, Bill Sykes called me up one day and he says, Bev, can you be in my office at 2 o'clock downtown? He worked for Taft, Tenants and Hollister then. And I said, yeah. He said, well, OHC is coming down. They changed their name a little bit. And so the guy told me, I said, where's Harrison's tomb on the list? We got 60 cents high, now they got 57, I think. He said, it's a 57. And I said, well, how do I get it up here? He said, we thought you liked it the way it was. I said, we don't like it the way it was. So how do you get it up? I want to see, number one, in your eyes. Since 2006, our foundation has sub-managed the tomb for Ohio History Connection. It does belong to the state of Ohio. And they are entitled to repair that spot. They put in the ramp, there was no ramp, but as of the 29th or 31st, I don't know, they changed the date, we will be meeting with the people at Harrison's tomb to go through the next phase of what they're gonna do up there between now and the end of the year. So they are noticing us, and we're bringing in a lot of people into Ohio. I expect next year there will be more people in Ohio. Serpent Mound is going to be a World Heritage Site. That means that more people are going to be coming, and they usually do the Harrisons, the Taft, and Grant all in one day. So I want them to clean up the village. We bring them from Harrison's tomb down here, and a lot of it, like across the street where they had all that graffiti on the building that was painted on there, but not really graffiti. They thought the kids thought it was good. It didn't look good. So we went over, Liz and I went over, and we talked to the guy that owns the building. And he said, well, I don't have the money now. And I come down here one day and it's all painted gray. The graffiti's gone. Likewise, I went across the street to the owner of that, across the street, because it was getting full of junk. And the next week, there was a dumpster in the backyard. So a lot of our zoning issues in the downtown part of Cleves, everybody says, well, we need a business district. Think about it. We got 3 restaurants, a funeral home, a gun shop, a drugstore, a hardware store. We got another bar, we got a couple bars. There is business
That
on the
needs to
downstream
become an
place.
IGA, is what it needs to become.
Huh?
You need an IGA down there. You need somewhere other than Kroger
Yeah.
to attract people down here as far as, because at night, this is a ghost town.
Got a bank.
Yeah.
I,
But I want you to think about what you're saying, because you take a look at Miami Township. You want to talk about connectivity? Miami Township, what they're doing down at West Park, what she's talking about here, developing this area up on the hill. I know exactly where she's talking. It's at the old boat place up there on top. There's room to do that. Take a look at the Ohio History Connection. I don't know how many of you are members. I am. All right, so I traveled all up to Northeast Ohio last year, and I had to find lodging in areas that are really not as nice as this area is. And so the end result is there are people throughout Ohio who value history and want to see that. Think about what North Bend's trying to do over here on the river. They're trying to build their own Harrison Interpretive Center, which might be in competition with this. But they may not get that, but they may wind up getting that park and the amphitheater over there. All that's designed with the right leadership to bring in some economic growth that's going to help relieve some of the property tax issues. So you don't want to miss what they're talking about here. This could be a very important building block for the future of this town.
right.
Chuck, we need to make this the all-American village. We have, like Bev said, 2 presidents, 4 generals. This is an all-American village. We have a lot of history here. As I tell my people when I give them the tours, is that we don't have the prestige of like a Boston because we don't have the revolutionary history, but we have a pioneer history, which is just as important as the Revolutionary War. These men and women came out here, and it was just as hard as the Revolutionary War, and it needs to be celebrated. And we can do that here in this village, and we can make it all American, and it needs to be celebrated here with red, white, and blue. We can paint our garbage trash dispensers red, white, and blue. We can just charm this place up.
How many school
And
groups do you get through?
we get just a few. It's really amazing that they don't come through. We get a lot of homeschoolers.
Get a lot of
Yeah.
homeschool.
As a matter of fact, next week I get one from West Virginia coming in, a homeschooler.
The one guy that was here last week was gonna be an employee of the Congressional Cemetery in Washington DC. He had done a tour here with me when he was 7 years old, so I started feeling really
How'd that make you feel?
He came back, and he's working for, and I understood that the Congressional Cemetery has been restored, so that's a good thing. But we have a lot of press that you guys don't even realize what happened. When we found John Cleve Sims was in the 3rd Continental Congress, when we found that sword, they took a picture out there of us, and it was in the New York Times. It also was on CNN, and my granddaughter, who's in Mumbai, India, she opens up her computer to check, what the politics are in a foreign country, and there is our picture on CNN in Mumbai, India. And she looked at it and she said, "What's my grandmother done now?"
What has grandma done now?
Yeah, what's grandma done now? So we have got a lot of press, and I don't think anybody in the village really knows about it, because really, to tell you the truth, we work hard every day. And we have people on our board that also put their money where their mouth is. You're witnessing when you go up to the tomb, Pennsylvania flagstone, because one of our foundation members gave $25,000. So we would have that instead of stand congress.
Why don't you tell them about the donation you got for your safe over there?
Oh, I did. I did a tour, and he was from Charles City, Virginia, and at that point, the monument needed repointed. That's $100,000. I mean, they roll up $1,000 when you do historical sites like it's pennies. And so he called me over to his truck, and he said to me, "Well, I can't, my wife and I have talked, but we can't give you $100,000, but we could give you a sizable donation." He said, because he actually said if there was 100 people across this United States like you guys, we wouldn't be in the shape we were in. So anyhow, so we knew that when we found the sword, that we were gonna have to put it in a vault. And so I told Tom Routerman, look, go out, figure out who we can buy a vault that is fireproof, waterproof, and glass so that people can see the sword. It took 1 year to build this vault. It weighs 1,600 pounds, and it cost $20,000. So Tom was in charge of this project, so he called the man in Charles City, Virginia. We need $20,000. He mailed a check to us the next week. So that was probably one of the largest donations we have ever gotten. Our museum is by donation only, and we survive. And every dime that we get in the donation box, we put back into the museum. None of us. This is all labor of love, and we put it back in. We buy Harrison things when it comes up for bid, and we put them in the cases. And the Harrison things because William Henry Harrison's house burned. They're very rare, but they also are very expensive. So, if you wanna go in the museum, Liz is there to take you time to get an appointment, or I can open the door and show you what's in there and you can briefly walk through it if you want.
Thanks, Ben. Would you like to say anything else, Liz, before? I want to just open up, just briefly, any questions any of you might want to have of me. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really plan on running for mayor. I'm committed to it. Those of you that got invites from me will be seeing me again. There'll probably be a postcard that's going to have links of this meeting with the video. I hope you will share it. This village is important. It needs to be saved, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. We got to do it together as a community. Anybody have any questions? I want to thank everyone for coming today. Tim, thank you very much. Linda, appreciate you being here. Bev, and everyone else. I really appreciate you all being here today. Thank you very much.
Two of us.
Thanks.